This area that we're at is the Pūpūkea Marine Life Conservation District. And conservation districts are areas that are set aside that provide fish and other aquatic species with a protected area in which to grow and reproduce. In the winter time, we see lots of humpback whales. We see all sorts of pods of spinner dolphins. We see different types of rays. We see all sorts of sea turtles. We get the endangered native Hawaiian monk seal. Every sort of fish or invertebrate that you can think of likely calls this place home. And then we have a plethora of different marine birds. So Mālama Pūpūkea-Waimea is the community nonprofit that cares for, educates about, and protects the Pūpūkea Marine Life Conservation District. Mālama means to take care of something. Pūpūkea and Waimea are the names of the two ahupua'a, or land divisions, that the Marine Life Conservation District encompasses. And it's about a mile of coastline. We do a lot of in-water biological monitoring, and over the years we started to realize that the coral was in trouble. And one of the things that was causing problems with the coral was erosion. And so we knew that we needed to look mauka in order to understand what was happening makai. And what we realized is that the land was eroding rapidly, ending up in the water and causing sedimentation on the reef below. So we started our Native Hawaiian Plant Coastal Restoration Project, where we literally took out tons of invasive weeds and shrubs and have planted thousands of Native Hawaiian plants in their place.
Some of the Native Hawaiian plants that we have consist of ahuava, naupaka, pohinahina, we have a kulikuli, and our endangered ohai. It makes me really happy to see our plants thriving, and it also makes me really happy when it's really nice and calm that we don't see the sediment on the reef and that we see new coral heads growing and different types of fish and limu and everything thriving. And that's when we know that what we do here really helps and benefits what we are trying to protect.
One of our big unique areas, we call it our tide pools, the kapo'o tide pools. And one of the things that happened during the pandemic when there were no people is we actually got to see the marine life bounce back like we'd never seen it before. We saw limu growing in places we'd never seen it before. We saw schools of juvenile fish. We saw hordes of different invertebrates just all of a sudden all over the place. And what that told us is that feet, or a lot of people, a lot of human use, has a very detrimental effect.
We have signs up that say Native Plant Coastal Restoration Project. Please do not step here. And people just don't listen. They don't read the sign and they trample all our plants down. That is probably our biggest problem.
We try to engage with our community constantly, whether that's here on site through an outreach tent that we set up every weekend, to attending community events where we'll put up a table and pass out information, to going into schools and doing educational opportunities that way. And so one of the things that we love for folks to know when they come down here is just to tread lightly, just be super respectful that the marine ecosystem is very fragile and it's very easy for us to unknowingly damage it while we're here. So we have some best practices that we like to share with folks, like swim, don't stand. Like just get in the water and float instead of stepping all over things. Or pick up rubbish if you see it. Take your rubbish home with you. We're really grateful for the CRP grant that is helping us with our Native Hawaiian Plant Coastal Restoration Project. And this grant has enabled us not only to physically work on the project, right, to remove weeds and shrubs and to plant native plants. The cool part about it is that it sort of formed a network of other entities, other organizations doing similar work that we could then learn from and bounce ideas off of and get advice from. And then all of that helps to benefit our community as a whole. So we'll have to propagate those too. I know. Smell good?
So nice. Now that we're coming out of this pandemic, what I hope to see is that we can get many, many more volunteers and start hosting volunteer work days so we can get into the plants, get all those weeds out, plant more native plants, and let them thrive